Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, our moments with the Word of God, our moments with the love, mercy, and compassion of God that is expressed so beautifully from the cross, His mercy and His love that He gave His life for us, and our moments also with the holy ones of God, the saints of God, who constantly show us that it is possible as human beings to seek God, to desire God, and to achieve a certain level of holiness. Of course, that all depends on God's grace and God's love, and also on our own awareness of where we are in our spiritual journey. And I invite you also to please share the videos with your friends and families, and please don't forget to subscribe, to press the like button, and also to write your comments. They cost nothing. Thank you. Yesterday we celebrated an important feast of Saint Mary Magdalene, and I explained to you how her level has been increased. And today we celebrate once again another important saint in this sense that along with 5 other patrons of Europe, Sister Saint Bridget of Sweden is also one of the patrons whose feast we celebrate today. Saint Bridget of Sweden was, of course, married to already at the young age of 13, and she had 8 children, but she brought them up so well that even one of her daughters became a saint, and she's known as Saint Catherine of Sweden. There are different Catherines, but Saint Catherine of Sweden is her daughter. So how could a married woman who had 8 children become a saint? Yes, because she was born in 1303 and her husband died in 1333. So she was still quite young, just 30 years old. And when he died, she became very pious, lived a very austere life, gave all her property to the poor. But it is also said that already from her childhood onward, she used to have visions. And because the parents married her at a young age, she had no choice. But these visions continued even after her husband died, and she was a very pious person. And of course, she had various visions, and she was so close to God and to Jesus. And one of her visions, which I was reading about, was the vision of life in purgatory. You know, a lot of my classmates, when we were studying theology and even later on, when I told them that I pray for the souls in purgatory every day, because that is what I had heard from one of the priests when I was a young boy, then they actually were making fun of me and they were laughing. You still believe in purgatory and things like that? Of course, those days we thought that we were learning modern theology, so which had no place for hell or for purgatory. But now I learn that Saint Bridget of Sweden had visions of purgatory. So this purgatory is a place where people who have not been condemned totally to hell, but because some of their sins, they could not immediately be taken to heaven. They have to spend time purifying themselves, or through kind of punishment, if you like, you can say it, or a process where they regret for their sins and spend time till they are completely purified to reach God. Of course, there are controversies about it, because many theologians say that God's love is boundless, and therefore God cannot see anyone suffering in purgatory, etc. So that debate can go on, but I am just mentioning that Saint Bridget had such visions. I suppose it was revealed to her through God. Anyway, she was so pious and holy that she went on to found an order, which is the order of the Bridgetines, or known as Bridgetines. And of course, we find in the first reading once again how God is upset with people because they do not listen to Him, and though God did so much for them, they still went on their own way and did not follow God. And that's why God said that you will not receive this, that, and the other. And in the gospel also, we find people asking Jesus, why are you talking to us in parables and not straight? And then Jesus said that the saying in the book of Isaiah may be fulfilled, that they see but they do not observe, and they hear but they do not listen. They have ears but they do not listen, or they have eyes but they do not see. Yes, this is what is happening to us. We think that we have eyes, we have ears, we have tongue, and we have everything. But are we really making use of those senses to observe, to perceive God's hand, God's work, God's listening to His word, seeing the beautiful creation and using our hands to worship Him, also to help the poor, as Jesus said in the gospel? And my dear friends, if you like, you may please subscribe to this channel. Thank you.